Welcome into College Football Now, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. So glad to have you with us. On today's show, we have an updated look at the transfer portal as more players are entering. A record number over the last couple of days. We'll highlight some of the biggest names you need to know who have entered the portal in just a few moments from right now. Before we do, folks, this is the place to be here on College Football Now for the latest happenings in the portal. We're going to cover this like no one else does. Subscribe now and join our family here at Chat Sports for up-to-the-minute news and analysis on some of the top players in all of college football. This is the place to be. YouTube.com/@ChatSports. Subscribe now, turn on notifications so you never miss a moment. We begin with Spencer Sanders, the quarterback out of Oklahoma State, who has entered the transfer portal after a disappointing year for the Cowboys, as they expected to get back to the Big 12 title game and compete for the college football playoff. Instead, they only won 7 games and lost to their arch rival, the Oklahoma Sooners, on a down year where they disappointed. And there was conflict between Sanders and Mike Gundy. Ultimately, Sanders is moving on. He's one of a number of Oklahoma State players that will be looking to go elsewhere. Staying in the Big 12 Conference, Donovan Smith is leaving Texas Tech. And Texas Tech had a number of quarterbacks play this year, but it looks like Smith will not be one of those that returns in 2023. Eli Stowers from Texas A&M, a highly recruited quarterback. We know about Texas A&M's issues. One of the most disappointing seasons we've ever seen in the history of college football. He's gone. Jimbo loses a top quarterback there. Meanwhile, at MIZZOU, Tyler Macon is gone. He'll look for somewhere else to go. And then back to the Big 12, JT Daniels will be transferring for the 3rd time in his college career. Daniels started out as a 5-star prospect at USC, then went to Georgia, was a part of Georgia's national title team, but lost the job to Stetson Bennett. This year goes to West Virginia, lost his job again. Now he'll be trying to find his 4th school. But Spencer Sanders in particular is who we want to focus on here. Look, Spencer Sanders has been a first-team All-Big 12 quarterback, but you wonder, was Mike Gundy holding Spencer Sanders back from his true potential, or were the mistakes that we've seen Spencer Sanders make over the last few years self-inflicted? Very interesting to see what happens to him as a senior, where he'll go next. Where will Spencer Sanders end up? That is our pinned comment today. Let us know in the comment section. Name me one school you think where Spencer Sanders could play football in 2023 in the comment section below. You might get an ad break. If so, take advantage of it. Get your votes in and let me know where you think Spencer Sanders will end up. Let's talk running backs now. Kentucky running back Michael Drennen has entered the transfer portal. Kentucky had high expectations for this year under head coach Mark Stoops, but didn't quite live up to those this year. Issac Guerendo out of Wisconsin enters the portal. Wisconsin, of course, has a new head coach in Luke Fickell, and Issac looking for other options there. Meanwhile, Florida running back Lorenzo Lingard has entered the transfer portal, as has Ketron Hargrove, a running back out of Mississippi State. A lot of talent from Hargrove there. It will be interesting to see where he lands. Sticking with the running backs, we have another player from Texas A&M. You might notice a theme today of guys from Oklahoma State, Texas A&M, and yes, Alabama entering the portal. L.J. Johnson, one of those guys, very talented running back. Meanwhile, Marquise Cooper out of Kent State, he was their leading rusher this past season with over 1,000 yards on the ground. Have to think he's looking for an opportunity to get into the Power 5. And then we mentioned the Cowboys. Dominic Richardson, who led Oklahoma State in rushing among running backs this past season. He's in the portal as well, looking for somewhere else to go. Got more guys to get to in just a moment. Before we do, today's show is brought to you by Fetch, the free app that allows you to scan your receipts and earn points that can be redeemed for gift cards to your favorite stores, restaurants, and online retailers. It's super easy to use. You use the app to snap a photo of your receipts from purchases from any store, or click the e-receipt option, and Fetch can connect to your Amazon account, and you'll earn points for all shipped orders. Plus, connect your email to earn points for every e-receipt you receive from Uber, Instacart, or any purchase you make online. Those points can then be redeemed for gift cards at your favorite stores and restaurants. Fetch is available on iPhone and Android. Use our link, chatsports.com/fetch, and enter the promo code CHAT at sign up for 5,000 points when you scan your first receipt. That's the equivalent of a free $5 gift card to get started. It's a free app, and the 5,000 bonus points is only for a limited time. So get started now. Chatsports.com/fetch. Enter promo code CHAT. The link is also in the comments and the description of today's video. Let's talk receivers now, and we turn to Daejon Reynolds, a wide receiver from Florida. Florida had a new head coach this year in Billy Napier, but a 7-5 season after shocking the world, beating Utah, didn't really do what they would have liked. Meanwhile, staying in the SEC, LSU wide receiver Jack Bech is available now. After spending a year with Brian Kelly there, he had a very good season. A lot of excitement about what he could bring to the table. This one was a bit of a surprise to see him enter the portal. We mentioned Oklahoma State had a number of players. Here's another one for you on offense. Braylin Presley. Remember, his older brother, Brennan Presley, played with him there at Oklahoma State. Braylin Presley was a 4-star wide receiver coming out of Bigsby High School in Tulsa, the powerhouse that's won about 8 of the last 9 state titles in one of the upper levels in that state. Presley looks to be on the outs, can be a threat in special teams as well. Alabama. Now, here's where things get interesting. JoJo Earle is on the outs, looking for somewhere else to go, as is Ketron Jackson from Arkansas, among some of the top receivers. But let's focus on Jack Bech. We mentioned the talent that he brings to the table. Last year was not really utilized like he should have been. 14 catches, 157 yards, and a touchdown score. And the fact that he's from Lafayette, Louisiana, he's going to be somebody that's going to be interesting to see where he ends up, the fact that he's leaving his home state more than likely with this move. Who's the biggest loser so far of the transfer portal of guys they've missed? Is it Oklahoma State? Is it Texas A&M? Is it Alabama? Remember, Texas A&M brought in a historic recruiting class last year, and a number of those guys are out the door already. Who is the biggest loser so far of the portal? Is it Oklahoma State? Is it A&M? Is it Alabama? If it's the Pokes, type O for Oklahoma State. If it's A&M, type T for Texas A&M. If it's Alabama, type A for Alabama. The tight end position. We begin with South Carolina tight end Jaheim Bell, who's on the list, joined by Jaylan Franklin from Wisconsin. And Franklin is another player that is looking for somewhere else to potentially go since the coaching change with Luke Fickell coming into Wisconsin. Meanwhile, Lewis Hansen at tight end from Michigan, the second tight end from Jim Harbaugh's Michigan Wolverines team that's looking for another option to go elsewhere. Meanwhile, let's go to defense now. Tony Grimes at cornerback from North Carolina is looking for somewhere else to go. And another Cowboy, this time Trace Ford, the defensive lineman from Oklahoma State, has a lot of potential and should have his name called to be playing on Sundays potentially, but has dealt with a number of injuries. Something to think about there. Another Texas A&M player. Notice the theme here. Marcus Burris from Texas A&M is on this list, as is Andre White Jr. at linebacker and Donald Harris at defensive line as well. A few more defensive players to get to in one moment. Before we do, with all these players that they lost and coming off a 5-win season, have to wonder, is Jimbo Fisher going to be back in 2024? Will we see things turn around for Jimbo at Texas A&M? Let me know in the comment section if Jimbo Fisher is going to be back for the 2024 season. Y for yes, in for no. Certainly they're taking some lumps this offseason after a historic offseason last year, not getting the results they wanted. Y for yes, in for no. Now we look at a few more defensive players, including Ketron Evans, the defensive lineman from Jackson State, and he played under Deion Sanders there at Jackson State, but there's more to Evans we'll get to in just a moment. Maybe not following Deion to Colorado potentially. Florida State defensive lineman Chambry Jackson makes our list as well, another name to watch from that Florida State program. Meanwhile, Ethan Calvert at linebacker from Utah. Utah just won the Pac-12 title game. And then, speaking of the Pac-12 title game, linebacker Julian Simmons from USC is also on the list, as is Avery Helm, a cornerback from Florida, is the names that we have on this list so far. Now, with Ketron Evans, he did not play much last year, only one game, and did not register any stats. And with the lack of playing time, you have to wonder, was he and Deion not on the same page? What exactly went on there? And the year prior, he didn't play much either. So don't know if just because you see a guy from Jackson State, if that means he's automatically going to Colorado and following Deion Sanders. He was a highly touted player, received a lot of offers coming out of high school from the likes of Alabama and some of the top schools, ultimately ends up at Jackson State. Another player to watch to see if he can elevate his career and move up to a Power 5 school. So far, 2 days in this, we're just getting started with the portal, folks. Who is your favorite player to enter the transfer portal so far? Let me know in the comment section below. Give me one name, whether it's somebody we talked about or somebody we did not talk about, who you think is your favorite player in the portal that you want your team to pick up. As always, interact with me on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Tyler Jones Live, and I'll see you next time here on College Football Now.